Hi Stampers, this is Lisa. I'm here with Queen Bee Creations, ready today to show you another Facebook Live. And today we're going to be playing around with the new Christmas Time is Here suite. And this is a gorgeous suite that's out for a limited time. I've showed it to you a little bit before, but it does consist of these two types of stamps. There's the base outline of our rose, which is done in the red rubber in a cling mount. And then the pieces that layer over it and the sentiments all come in photopolymer, making them very easy to use to color in the rose. And there's many ways we can use this. We can color it with any sort of materials out there. We can use our Stampin' Blends, the regular markers, watercoloring, the watercolor pencils. There's just lots of options that we can color it in with. Or we can color it in by using these stamps, or we can use these stamps on their own. So I'm going to show you how to do both of those things. Also included in the suite is this gorgeous designer series paper, and I love that the fact that they gave us larger quantities of each paper so that if we're making Christmas cards or something, we have many more sheets so that our cards can match. So this is gorgeous paper, and it has gold in it. So there's some foil right in the designer series paper itself. It also, of course, comes with a set of dies. So I have this here that has lots of different accent pieces and something to house the sentiment. This large die will cut out the rose itself. Just beautiful things we can do with that. I cut out some of the pieces just so you could see how beautiful they are. And the detail that comes in them is just gorgeous. So very pretty detailed die cuts. And then of course we have our glitter enameled dots, which are in gold. Perfect for the holidays. And then some gorgeous gold ribbon. And so this has some shimmer to it too, and it's very soft and shiny. It's just very luxurious ribbon. I haven't actually made the cards that we're going to be making yet here today because I thought we would just sit down and play with it together. So for this set, like I said, I wanted to show you several different ways of doing it. And so I've got lots of papers here, and I brought out my Stamparatus because I think this is just the perfect set for using our Stamparatus. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by setting out our base rose. This is the outline, and it's really clean, so I don't need to worry about it getting ink on here, but I can just kind of arrange it to where I think it's going to be centered in my card front. This is 4 inches by 5 1/4. We could also use the measurements on the grid paper if we wanted. Now I'm going to take this out, and we're going to use it today, and we're not going to use it today because for the foam that's on here, I don't need to use it. So I'm going to leave it out as we stamp the base. And let's see, let's start with embossing. So I'm going to use some Versamark ink. How's everybody doing today? Did you have a good weekend? I hope you did something fun. A friend and I traveled an hour and a half to find IKEA. We don't have one here in Idaho, so we drove over to Utah just to go to IKEA. But it was fun. We made kind of a night of it. We stayed in a hotel and just had fun. And of course came back with stuff from IKEA. I just love their organizational stuff for my office. I love it. Okay, so here we have one embossed in gold, and we'll color that in a little bit. You could even leave it as it is. I mean, you could die cut this out, leave it white on the, with the gold embossing, and then just put it on another piece of white and have a monochromatic white on white with some gold accents. It'd be really pretty. Let's do another one embossed in white, because that'll give us a completely different look. It'll kind of be a no-line watercolor, but still give us our ridges that will help us keep the color in. Okay, so that one's embossed in white. Put that aside with our gold. Then we can clean off our stamp. I'm done using Versamark. So this is our Simply Chamois that I've cut into fourths so that they're a nice size for cleaning off things that are mounted on our Stamparatus. And then we'll come back to Memento. I missed a little bit right there, but that's again one of the wonderful things about the Stamparatus. We can just ink that up again and go back in the same spot. And now it's filled in. Voila! Mistake averted. Okay, let's do a couple more of these. Also, the Stamparatus is great for assembly line stamping, which is, where you would be making lots of the same card. You would only have to mount it once with all of your layers, and then you could just flip and fold and you would have your cards. Very quick and easy, and they would all be exactly the same. Got my fingers on that one. That's why there's a side B. Can tell Pixie's feeling better now. The dogs are constantly playing in the background. Okay. Now, for the next part, oh, probably wanted to leave that in there. So I'm going to leave that where it is, and then I'm going to take and flip this over so I can use the other side. Give this a quick cleaning. Stop! Sorry. And then we have the photopolymer parts. Now this is where I was saying that you could line them up. So here are the boughs. This is like the greenery and some leaves. So we know our leaves are right here. So those are easy to match up. So I'm just carefully aligning these stamps with the lined image underneath. And then I have all three stamps situated, and then I can bring in this thing and pick them up. Oh, I will want to, now that we're going photopolymer, this is where I said we would bring in our sponge mat again. So I'm going to put that in there before we do any stamping. But I'm going to ink this up with Mossy Meadow. And there you go, just like that we have greenery. And then these little ones with the little dots, these are going to be the fillers for our berries. So I'm going to carefully line these up. And again, this is great for assembly line stamping because once you get these all aligned once, you don't have to mess with them again. If you were using blocks, you would have to come in and, find where they all match up every time you go to stamp, and you would be stamping 4 stamps in one color individually. But with the Stamparatus, we line them up once, pick them up with the plate, and then we can go ahead and ink them up all at the same time and stamp them all at the same time. So there's our berries. And then I'm going to flip this over so we have one more side that we can put the rose on. I need the second magnet. It seems to be sticking. The brand new photopolymer stamps have a little tendency to stick until they've been used a few times. And then this is done in distinctive stamping. So this is a special process that Stampin' Up! Uses that gives us that great photorealistic coloring inside of our rose. And then I just have the one pine cone filler, so I can go ahead and stamp that one manually with a block. How many of you can see yourself using this stamp set and creating something gorgeous? Don't you just love that? Look how beautiful the colors are. I mean, and that's just one color. I mean, you could do this in rich razzleberry, Highland heather. I mean, there's lots of colors that roses come in, and we have quite the assortment of colors and a beautiful rose to do it with. So that's one option of just stamping in with the outline and then using the stamps. We can also, like I said, use the stamps by themselves. We can come in with our greenery. And since we lined them up against the image of the outline, we know that we are going to be aligned for the rest of our set. Flip this over. I'm using Real Red for the rose and then Cherry Cobbler for the berries, and Mossy Meadow for the leaves, and then I have Soft Suede for the pine cones. So see that we have a beautiful rose without the outline, and then a beautiful rose with the outline. So there's two different options there. And then, like I said, we can also color in using our various methods of coloring. And I'm going to go ahead and clean these stamps real quick because I wanted to show you the stamp cleaning pad. And this again is a great size for cleaning right on the Stamparatus. So I can clean them before I go to change to the next color. Feels like I'm drying out a little. We do have a refill. So I'm going to put some more of our cleaning fluid on here. Sorry about that, dog. There we go. Okay, now it's lifting a little more of the red. You saw how very red those started out, and now that I'm using the stamp cleaning pad, it's lightening up quite a bit. Now it's not getting rid of it entirely, but it is lightening it quite a bit. And you know, normally the coloring of the stamps does not affect how they stamp, but I have found with one of my other sets that does layering, one of them turned so pink I can't see through it anymore. So it does affect my ability to line it up against my other stamps. So I do try to keep them clean, and my stamp cleaning pad is fabulous for that. Let's see. I also brought out some shimmery white. So let's go ahead and stamp an outline on there. And then I have some watercolor paper. So I'm going to set the Stamparatus aside, and I'm taking off the second plate because you can't close both plates at the same time. So I'm setting those aside. So now I'm going to come in with our watercolor pens, aqua markers. That's the word for them. And now we used to be able to just squeeze the pad on our old style and a little bit of ink would show up on here. Now this isn't doing that for me because these are a tighter fit, but for all of my colors I always have a refill. So I can just take a single drop of the refill and I can set that in here and use that for my watercoloring. So this is just the aqua painter with a little bit of water in the inside. So I just squeezed some out so that I can pick up some color. And then you just start watercoloring. And this is on watercolor paper, and so it's spreading beautifully. And after I've got the entire thing done, I can come back and add a little bit of darkness to some areas. And with the watercolor, I probably should have used Stays On. So I don't want to get this too wet or the memento will blur. So you can see how that would be a great way to color in. Now to change colors, I'm going to want to squeeze out enough water that it's going to wash that pink out of the bristles, and I would just run it till it's clear. And then I can move to the next color. Oh, just stuck my fingers in that. So it's not finished, but I don't want to waste a lot of your time sitting here. You get the idea that we can color that in beautifully with the watercolors. We can also color in with watercolors on the embossed image. So this is embossed on Whisper White. So you can see, I'll bring it up closer in a second, how it doesn't quite distribute the color as wonderful as watercolor paper is, but it does give you a wonderful look. So not to say that one is better than the other, just they're different. And so you could get a watercolored look with the white, or you could get a watercolored look with the gold. And I'm just giving it kind of a quick once over. I will finish coloring these in off camera, and I will load them onto my blog so you can see all the different looks. I love how you can take one stamp set or one bundle that Stampin' Up! Gives us, and we can come up with so many different cards, so it makes them much more versatile. I don't feel like, you know, I'm buying a Christmas set that will only be used in Christmas. I feel this is something I can use year-round and get many different looks out of it. So I'll continue coloring that one. We can also come in with the blends. I'm just butterfingers today. Look at that. I'm getting all inky. I'm sure none of you do that, right? None of you get ink on your fingers as you stamp. Okay, so our Stampin' Blends, of course, have the two different ends. There's the bullet end and then the brush end. And so I'm going to come in with the dark. This is Rococo Rose. And then in order to blend, I'm making small circles over where they overlap. And I'm doing little sections at a time so that I can get better control, because the blends will blend much better when they're wet. And so I'm just laying down color, just kind of where I think it would be dark. And then coming back in and coloring the entire thing with the light. And I usually turn the paper so that I can keep my hand in a comfortable position. Rather than tweaking my arm, I tweak the paper. It's much more forgiving. So I would just keep playing with it until I came up with a look I was happy with. That was Old Olive. This is Soft Suede for the pine cone. So that's coloring with blends. And this is on Shimmery White. You can also go back to the ones that we had colored before, where we stamped onto here, and we can take a blender pen or another one of our aqua markers, and we can also give it a little bit of water and soften this up as well. So I don't know if you can see, but that just softens it up a little more. There you can tell, because see, this is the leaf that I colored in a little bit, and this is the one I haven't done yet. So there are lots and lots of beautiful options that we can use with the new beautiful Christmas Rose stamp set, embossed and colored various ways. And then of course we have that gorgeous designer series paper that we can use with the stamped image, or even maybe fussy cut one of those out and use it without. We can use a regular card base, or we can take some of our designer series paper and use it in conjunction with the pre-made foil card bases. Since this has gold foil in it and this has gold foil in it, the two of them would go together beautifully. Maybe that's just a layer of that, and then you run to the die cutting machine and let's die cut this one. So that could have a beautiful look like that. Or we could take some of that very pretty ribbon, and we could run a little ribbon behind it, pop it up on some dimensionals. So I'm just kind of arranging the ribbon behind it, just trying to see how I can get kind of a pattern back there. Because sometimes you want the ribbon to be exact, you know, and wrap around even and come out in a bow, and sometimes you just want it in the background as kind of an accent. So see how pretty that could be? Just mess with that a little and pull the edges out. So then all I would have to do is take a few glue dots, grab the take your pick tool here. Since now I've kind of arranged the ribbon where I want it, I can set some glue dots down and set the ribbon on it so that I don't lose my place. How do I lose things? Like right under my nose. There we go. So by popping this up on dimensionals, it gives the card a little bit of dimension, but it also gives the ribbon some free room to move around in the background so that it doesn't get smushed. That's a technical word, right? Smushed. But it allows the ribbon to flow a little freely in the back, which makes it look just that much prettier to know that the ribbon's just flowing, not pinned down. So what do you think? We could even add some accents behind it, put little corner pieces on. It probably doesn't go with this designer series paper, but I could see if that was a solid color, how these would pop really well. We could even maybe put them on the inside as a corner piece that would allow the outside to carry itself in. And then of course there's our very pretty glitter enamel dots. So I'm just going to stick a couple randomly. And there you go. There's a beautiful card made using the new Christmas Time is Here suite. This set is only available for a very limited time. Stampin' Up! Has brought it out as part of our Christmas offering. It was started being available as of November 1st, and it'll just be while supplies last. So if you really love this bundle or this suite, you can buy it all at once, or you can buy it individually. You can pick and choose what you want, but everything that's out there is a limited time release. So when they run out, they run out. And I have no idea when that's going to be. So here's our card for today. I hope you like it. Again, the stamp set is called Christmas Rose, and the bundle is The Christmas Time Is Here Suite. So thank you for joining me, and again, pop on over to my blog and see all of my finished projects and how all the different ways this thing can be colored. Thanks for joining me. Bye.